Uh.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And draft season has come and gone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Blue Stable Podcast, the official Colts podcast, I might add, of Fansided. All right, now before we get going, okay, this is for all the new fans, all the Cincinnati Bearcats, all the Yales, all the Missouri States that are now Colts fans for their fellow, alumni. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, interact down in the comment section. We would greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, we did sit down with Morocco Brown, the director of college scouting. We were able to sit with him after the draft, ask him a couple questions. Go check that video out. We got articles everywhere. Go to the website. It's down in the description below. You don't want to miss out on that. We got great content. We had great content over the weekend. Guys, it was a great weekend for everybody. But before we get into football, I do want to give a shout out, not really a shout out, but really a rest in peace today, earlier at my alma mater high school, Belton High School. A senior, Jose Joe Ramirez, was unfortunately stabbed. He passed away earlier today. I want to give a rest in peace. My condolences, my prayers out to the Ramirez family. It broke my heart when I heard it. He was a senior, about 3 weeks out from graduation. Breaks my heart to see the suspect is in custody, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out there, guys. Joined by us, Dustin Adams, Rashad McGinnis. Big Rashad. First off, we got to talk, Rashad. You were at the draft this past weekend. We got to talk about this suit that you had. All right.
Oh my God,
He keeps trying to play humble. All right, but what I'm gonna start calling him is Big Bank Hank. That's what I'm gonna start calling him, Big Bank Hank, because on this suit, you saw the tie. It had diamonds on it. He got the fresh cut. I mean, Rashad, explain this, man. Come on, explain what happened.
So I got a suit. I got a suit tailor made. For an occasion like this. It was a special occasion. It's my first time ever going to the draft. The draft is in Vegas. I just wanted to represent the brand. It was all for the brand. That's why I'm wearing blue today. I have to represent the brand. I just didn't want to wear blue at the draft because I didn't want to look like some of my coworkers that was there with their blue suits. So, I decided to be a little different. And since it was in Vegas, I was silver and black. Yeah, I'm a Raider. So what?
Man, Michael, Rashad said, I got a suit. No, I mean, Rashad had to celebrate. Dude had a little trifecta moment for the NFL just this cycle, man. Got to go to the Super Bowl, went to Mobile for the Senior Bowl, went to the draft.
I know, man.
Dude's living his best
I wish
life.
I would have caught the combine now. I should have caught the combine.
I was there. So if we add that together, we're living through each other. Yours is a little bit better.
That's a fact.
We don't have to talk about it.
Me and Dustin have caught everything.
Guys,
we've caught every event.
Look at this.
He pulled the picture out.
I don't want to hear nothing about humble talk from Rashad anymore. First off, I need to know something. Where is my just because I love you present? Because I know you got paper falling out the pockets and everything. You out there. I heard you even bought an alligator, like $20,000.
Come on, Mike. Don't do this.
At least y'all know where our funding is coming from the Blue Stable, guys. All right. Anyways, guys, the draft has come and gone. It was an exciting week. Thursday was a little bit under, what's the word I'm trying to say? It was just boring for Colts fans. But when it did get interesting for us, is when we heard the Tennessee Titans traded away A.J. Brown. Basically their best player. Well, maybe Justin Simmons might have something to say about that. But real quick, I want to get the guys involved here. Destin, I'm going to start with you. A.J. Brown being gone, I mean, what do you think? Rashad, you know what? Actually, Rashad, give it to me, man.
Well, since, like you said, I was at the draft. I was sitting in the media room when it happened, and you could just hear the whole media room erupted when that happened because nobody could believe it. Nobody was happier than me. There was a couple of Titans.
Sources say Rashad went streaking
under that suit.
But he folded that suit nicely before he did it.
I'll probably be arrested. I definitely would have missed this show had I went streaking. But
a cold flag in between his ass.
They had a couple of Titans writers that was sitting at the table behind me. I just turned around and looked them square in the face and said, "You guys suck." And they said, "Yes, we do suck. We suck. We're stupid."
Titans fans went through it, man. I don't know. I was scrolling on Twitter the rest of the first round, just going. Now, by day 2, they were over it, saying that A.J. Brown was overrated and that he had some off the field drama and blah, 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 trying to make up for it. But the moral of the story was, as soon as it happened for me, I was just waving, man. The rest of the night at the screen, every time I saw his face, it was just bye. And I didn't care. But they traded. They're like, "Oh, we got Treylon Burks. Good for you. Bye, Jay. Bye."
Look, I'm not scared of Treylon Burks. I'm sorry. I think he's going to be a fine player, but I'm not afraid of him. I'm
not afraid of any wide receiver, especially 30-year-old Robert Woods, who's a solid player, but coming off a ACL. I'm not scared of anyone there.
Chester Rogers. Come on, guys.
Now, real quick, Destin, don't say bye-bye yet. Because we play the Eagles this season. We're going to have to see. I don't care. We're going to have to care. Hey, I'm just saying the Eagles got better. They got better. But this isn't an Eagles podcast, okay? Screw them.
I maybe I would care if A.J. Brown had somebody throwing to him. But I mean.
Right. If Jalen Hurts wasn't their quarterback, they're going to be running the ball with all those receivers. But anyways, guys, now it's time to talk about our draft and where we got better, okay? It's time to talk about that. Can we talk about that? All right, let's start it off. So, came time a little bit. Number 42 came around. You're thinking there's some quarterbacks, wide receivers are there. Trade back happens. Colts trade back with the Vikings. They go from 42 to 53. Clearly, there's that saying that in the second round, maybe you don't see the difference between pick 35 and pick 50 or pick 55. You don't see the difference there. So why not trade back, gain more capital? That's what you did. So you gained another third-round pick that night, and the pick eventually became Alec Pierce, wide receiver, Cincinnati. Destin, I'm going to pass it to you real quick. The Colts getting Alec Pierce, obviously, it came down to, I think it was him and another prospect. Not other prospects, but getting Alec Pierce, how excited were you for the pick, and what could he offer, obviously, in his rookie year and then beyond?
Man, I mean, I think the thing I was the most nervous about was just there was so much smoke around the Colts considering going quarterback in the second. So we get to 42. The clock's going for a while. I remember looking up, and it's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. And I'm like, man, if they don't know who they're picking, like they got to be trying to trade. And then right away, the trade back. And then the trade back happens, and I'm even more nervous that they're thinking quarterback because no quarterback's going. I feel like they thought they could trade back and get one of these guys, whoever it is they have at the top. So they trade back, and then I have to wait. They traded back from 42 to 53, so 11 spots. I had to wait 11 draft picks where all I was thinking was, are we really about to take a quarterback? We get there. Alec Pierce is there. Sky Moore is there. We end up going Alec Pierce. I love the Alec Pierce pick. I think I'm one of the people all draft cycle where I just felt like the fit was perfect in Indy. He can slide in, be that Z receiver for us. I think he can also play in that big slot area. His route tree, I think, is a little bit more advanced than some of the round 2 receivers, but still going to need some work. Has the speed you want to be able to play in that Z role. I think it's a great fit. I think if you put him and Sky Moore next to each other, I may have taken Sky Moore personally. But I love the Alec Pierce. I love the fit here. I think he's going to be a very solid receiver. I'm very curious to see what it looks like day one and beyond. But I'm a big Alec Pierce fan. I think in like a grade form, if I had to go, like I'd probably give it like a B+, just because I think Sky Moore was being there takes it down from being an A for me. But getting the trade back and take Alec Pierce, great.
I just, I'm gonna take this time to wave goodbye to a draft crush I had. Christian Watson. I thought we was a match made in heaven. I thought, I got Mike to come on board. Mike was in full support of it.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace to the idea.
But Green Bay snatched him up early second, man. So once that happened, I thought it would be one of three people between Sky Moore, Alec Pierce, and George Pickens, even though from what I had heard, about Pickens, I won't speak on, I was totally out on him by that time. I know Mike shared that sentiment and Dustin as well. So it really was a two-man. It was Sky Moore or it was Alec Pierce. But if this pick was made at 42 and it was Alec Pierce, I might be a C+, B- on it because, Alec's a guy that's still pretty raw. And I know I used to talk about Christian Watson's ceiling a lot, but Alec Pierce is another guy with a high ceiling as well. May not be as high as Watson's, but he can develop into a bona fide number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. So the trade happened. I was nervous. I was nervous as hell. But I always felt like Alec Pierce would be the guy, especially if they traded back. But I thought Sky Moore would be gone by then. That was the only thing, because a lot of people had him sneaking into the first. And we know Sky Moore is a lot more polished as a receiver than Alec Pierce is. I don't think he offers the upside totally that Alec Pierce has due to the size difference between the two. And speed-wise, they're pretty much in the same ballpark. I think Sky Moore is a little better on the short to intermediate game. I think that's where Alec Pierce still has to make his jump and elevate as a receiver. A lot of his usage was on vertical routes. Not saying he doesn't have a short intermediate game. That's just not the way Cincinnati chose to use him. So I think once he gets in with Reggie Wayne, a guy who will clean up his technique, his natural athleticism and his ball skills, the body control, to go up and get it, the speed, it's all there. So I was more than fine with the pick at 53. As a matter of fact, I damn near stood on the table in the Vegas media room and pounded my chest, but I didn't want to go to jail, so I didn't do it.
So I love the pick, obviously. Like I said, whoever one we get, I'm going to be happy with, and I'm going to say that now. I'm happy with the pick. Alec Pierce, I remember watching, because I was a big Cincinnati fan. I wanted to see where they'd go, if they could go undefeated. I remember watching that Cincinnati Notre Dame game. Alec Pierce was picking Notre Dame apart. He was beating them. He was getting the separation, making tough catches. Wasn't getting the best ball placement, but he was adjusting in the air and getting a catch. I feel like he's the type of player to where if he had a better quarterback, he probably would have been drafted higher. We probably would have had the chance to get a lot more on film. I remember the Alabama game. If it wasn't for Desmond Ritter's, average form and everything, low pointing the football and having the passes batted down, Alec Pierce was wide open that whole game. He was beating the zone. He was beating the man coverage. He was beating all that. And I like it. So, and no disrespect, obviously, to Desmond Ridder. I still think he's going to beat out Marcus Mariota for that QB1 spot this preseason. So, I obviously love it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Hey, Marcus Mariota's not here, so screw him. All right. Right. So here on to the next pick. All right. This is going to be at pick 73, I believe. Let me look at the notes here. All right. 73. Guys, welcome our new tight end one. I wanted a tight end. I wanted one. And I remember some people told me, no, don't go tight end day 2. Don't go tight end day 2. You got to get him round. Whoa. You got to get him round 4. Destin, did you not tell me that? Destin, did you not tell me that?
Michael might be, and you guys know this, everyone listening.
Rashad,
Michael
did he not say that?
Michael might be the worst person when it comes to details. He really might.
Rashad,
where
did
he
he
just
not
takes,
say that? Did he
takes
not
the
say
details of an argument. He takes the details of an argument and says, "Oh, this is what Destin said." Actually, what was said, if we want to go back and play it back, is Michael was trying to bang the drum for why 42 we could go best tight end available. And I told him multiple times that why take a tight end on round 2? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Because you just give so much more production and so much a better shot even at tight ends when you are looking in that 3rd round, the 4th round. I may have said that I'd be more willing to take a tight end round 4 than 2. But the whole argument stemmed from Michael saying to take him in round 2.
Rashad, well, yeah, I will admit that. Yes, I was going for a tight end. But
Michael, again,
we'll wrap this up. We'll wrap this up again. But details, you can have details all you want, but you said what you said. Okay, Rashad, you were in that chat. Him and Jacob were or Colts guy 505, the guy that our draft writer. Y'all know him on Twitter. Why would you go tight end in round 2? Get him round 4. Get better value. Like,
did we take Jelani Woods at round 2? But I'll start talking about Jelani Woods.
Hey, I got it. And I've been pulling for tight end all season, all off season. Okay, I've been pulling for somebody who's worth a damn at tight end. All right. So Jelani Woods, 6'7", coming out of Virginia, already tight end 1. As soon as he got the call, he was already the best tight end on the roster. Already, bro. You don't even have to step foot in Indianapolis. Before he even answered the phone, he was already the best tight end on the roster. So realistically, I think he's already a better route runner than Mo. I think he uses his body better, probably because he's been playing, he was well developed in college. Mo didn't get that in college. He went straight to the league. So I'll give Mo some slack there. But already, I think Jelani's better in the pass catching department. He's not even close in the blocking department with Mo Alley-Cox. But for me, I liked the pick. I didn't study him too much, but I do remember thinking like, damn, this dude is huge. He's a tight end. But as soon as the pick came in, I'm like, tight end. Thank you. I like the pick. Good hands, not ton of production, but even just watching his film, you see that he understands routes. He understands pass catch. He can pass catch. So tight end 1 already. Argue with your mama.
I mean, Michael is never going to get over the fact that he's a Mo Alley-Cox hater. But, I mean, Jelani Woods, a freak, man. I mean, right after the draft, we got invited to a little press conference with Morocco Brown. First question I asked was from the With the Next Pick series. There was a quote for a guy that said, "You do not see a guy that big, that good." I asked Morocco, was that about Jelani Woods? And he confirmed it right away. And when you watch Jelani Woods, that's what you think. He moves very smoothly. Do I think he tested even better than he looked on film? I do. I think Virginia started to let him look like a pass catcher and let him play that role, where at Oklahoma State, he wasn't asked to do as much. He didn't get to get on the field as much, a lot of blocking assignments. I think Jelani Woods, where he's going to excel in the NFL is he's freaky, man. 6'7", the way he moves, I think he's going to get red zone packages right away. I think he's going to have to earn a little bit more to be tight end 1 snap counts, where I think Mo Alley-Cox is going to get that year 1. Tight end is a rough position to come into the NFL and produce right away. It's just a proven fact. Very few guys do. Even Kyle Pitts, who was freaky, really took a little while last year to get going. And that's just because the tight end position's a tough one. I think Jelani Woods will get immediate production in the red zone. When it comes to run blocking, he's uber aggressive on film. That's going to be something that'll get him flagged early on in his career. But those flags can help him later, just a little bit of growing pains. But he's a guy that tries to finish guys out of the tight end spot at blocking. That's awesome to see. But you're going to see your tight end get flagged a little bit when he does that. I'm excited for Jelani Woods. We'll see how it all goes. I'm not going to go tight end 1 day 1, though.
I'm going to go to training camp with Jelani Woods tight end 1 shirt, just so y'all know.
Jelani Woods, man, what a ride. A guy that signed with Oklahoma State as a quarterback originally. He won a state title in Georgia, and he was expected to go to Oklahoma State, and become a quarterback. Once he got there, decided to change positions and play wide receiver a little bit, kind of like a big wide receiver, flex tight end, and the way he went the move to tight end is actually funny for those of y'all that don't know. Oklahoma State was preparing for a game to play against Mark Andrews, and they needed a guy on the scouting team to simulate what Mark Andrews can do. So they got Jelani Woods to play scout team tight end, and he tore it up, and he lit it up. So after he destroyed Oklahoma State's first team defense on a scout team, they decided to make the move full time. Then he transfers to Virginia, a team that utilized him the right way. As a tight end, caught a lot of seam balls. He's not a precise route runner yet, but he is a bit more versatile than Mo Alley-Cox, like Mike said earlier. He's very similar in his build, 6'7", 253, ran a 4.61 at the combine, blazing speed for a guy that size, big hands, catch the ball really well, high points to football. You need to polish his route running, his cuts, his in breakers, all the short stuff that he's going to catch. He does that. He has potential to be something special. The athleticism is off the charts. That's going to be a theme tonight as we talk about these players. All the athleticism is out of this world. So I think Jelani Woods was exactly what this Colts team needed at the tight end position. I know some draft pundits say it was a reach. He went earlier than a couple of guys that they expected to go. I don't care. He was exactly the right fit for this team. And I think he's going to open up a new part of the offense that Frank Wright just haven't been able to run. And you can get something out of Jelani Woods that you've been wanting to get out of Mo Alley-Cox for the last couple of years that you just haven't got with consistency.
Yeah, like I said, I like the addition. I was excited about it. Wide receiver, tight end, first two picks. Ballard's doing it, man. He understands that he needs to get some more weapons on this offense. Now, this is the pick that you gained by trading back with the Vikings, number 77 overall in the third round. And this one was a tackle, Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan. Personally, at the time, I was disappointed in the pick only because I liked other players who were on the board, but I did like the fit for the Colts. This guy was getting late round 1, early round 2 grades. I think it was a good steal of the draft. Already, people are penciling him in for left tackle. I don't know.
You're not gonna like what I have to say.
I don't.
You're not gonna like what I have to say, Michael.
I don't know why he's already getting penciled in for left tackle,
good, bro. Because he's good.
Well, I could look good too if I played at Central Michigan. So
give me the mic. Give me the mic.
First, hold on, dude. I swear, man, dude, this is Central Michigan, not Michigan. This is Central Michigan, okay? All right, he played against dudes the size of Rashad at defensive end. Come on now.
Okay.
But he is solid. He is good. I think there was a theme talking about him and Braden Smith can combine for the shortest arms in the league. But again, with Braden Smith, Ballard wasn't projecting him to be a tackle. He ended up being a tackle. Raymond, you could think of him as a tackle. Hell, he could beat out Pinter for right guard this season, or he just flat out beats Matt Pryor. I'm not taking that out of consideration. He could flat out embarrass him. Who's going to look better? In the fact that I like that you have Kwity Yannick Ngakoue, now you can truly see who's good. Because last year you saw the tackles, Tevy and Davenport, man, they're looking all right. Turns out our D-line just sucked. So now,
are you done?
Hold on.
Are you done?
Still solid. He's still solid, but he just got here. He hasn't put in that work to be on number 1 on the depth chart. He's also
but Jelani Woods is tied in 1.
He's also
but Jelani Woods is tied in 1, right?
Shut up. So Matt Pryor's left tackle 1. But one thing I do want to note, Raymond's already coming in at 25 years old, not 21. By the time it's his second contract, he's already going to be almost 30 years old. So if he's not ready to go now, former tight end, that athleticism, footwork that you want from a left tackle, awesome. Right now, Matt Pryor is number 1 for me. but hell, Raymond can come in and blow him out the water. So I will say that right there. But solid pick, great value.
Are you done? So I disagree with almost everything that was just said. I think Bernard Raymond was the best value and best pick of the entire class because of where it was. I personally had him at tackle 5. I think he should have slid into the end of round 1. In my write-ups, there were 2 tackles that I circled. Both I didn't think were possible really for Indy, that I said, man, these guys would be perfect next to Quentin Nelson. The first name I circled was Trevor Penning. The second name I circled was Bernard Raymond. He is a dog at left tackle, man. He's coming in with stuff that you're not going to normally get at tackle in the 3rd round. His technique is one of the best in this class. Very polished. The 2 cons that come in, he's going to have shorter arms, which the Colts have not really cared about when it's came to tackles amongst teams that some do. The Colts really haven't cared. The second thing is he's already 25. The already 25 thing almost is a positive to me because you're drafting guys all the time that are just not ready because of technical issues. And Raymond doesn't have that. His footwork, I love his footwork. His hands, for being shorter arms, he engages earlier because of that. He makes sure to get the defender. You just don't see him lose reps very often. He finishes guys from the left tackle position. When they took Raymond, that was the most excited I was for a draft pick the entire night. Maybe the only thing that bested it was when I saw the Colts trade into the end of the 3rd, because I was just, holy crap, they just traded into the end of the 3rd with no 4th round pick. So I was confused of what happened. But Raymond, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Pryor is going to have an uphill battle to win that job. I think Pryor has more cons in his technical issues than Raymond's going to have. And I like Matt Pryor. I think Matt Pryor would have been solid at tackle this year. I just really think going into camp, I would give Raymond the edge, man. I think he's a nasty kind of tackle. I think his technical work is just above Pryor's already. Man, it's going to be a fun battle. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Pryor can't win it. But if you ask me right now to pick one, I think Raymond wins the job in camp. I really do.
Well, I don't really care what you think, okay? So look, you said he finishes. Who did he finish? Rashad, take the floor, man.
Bernard Raymond, exciting pick. You know, Ballard has never taken a swing early at the left tackle position, you know, like Dustin referred to earlier. Braden Smith was initially taken as a guard, so we can't even count that. You know, it just so happens it worked out that way due to injury. We tried him at it, and he exceeded expectations, so we left him there. This one is Ballard's first early swing at a left tackle, and it needed to happen at some point. You know, just needed to bite the bullet. I like Pryor. I think Pryor would have been a fine 1-year stopgap, and he still may be, you know, but Bernard Raymond, he's polished, man. He's polished. I do think he need to add a little weight, but that's minor. That's minor. He just picked up 66 pounds to get to the weight he's currently at. You know, he had to transform his body just a couple of years ago in order to play left tackle. So I think that's to his benefit, though, because he moves like a tight end. You know, he has awesome feet. And I think that's due to his arms being short. So he has to move quickly and get his feet up under him. He's not reaching for guys like guys with longer arms tend to do. They tend to use their arm length and rely on it to their detriment. Bernard Raymond doesn't have that. You know, he's going to square up. He's going to get his feet up under him. He's going to anchor down. He's a really good player, man. He's older, so he's expected to contribute a lot earlier than some of these guys. That's projections and younger guys. But at the end of the day, if he does take the spot from Matt Pryor, that's not a bad thing, you know? It's not a bad thing, especially when you can kick, if Danny Pinter struggles, you can kick Pryor to guard, and he'll be perfectly fine. I mean, he was a guard. You know, that's where he has his most experience at.
This line is ridiculously versatile. Like that's not getting talked about, but there's so many guys that can play tackle if needed, play guard. Pinter has center and guard.
I was about to say Pinter can slide to center.
But Destin, Chris Ballard hasn't done enough. He's so cheap. He can't add talent. What do you mean this line is so versatile?
Michael's upset fan voice is the exact same every time, and it's a talent. It really is. I don't know how he does it. It's the same voice though.
It's the same fan that he must hear in his head
every single time. But I'll let you keep going. But I just wanted to make that point. Like, it's crazy.
No, I mean, I'm getting to the end of what I had to say about Bernard Raymond because he's such a talented prospect. I did have doubts about, the level of competition, but I saw him at the Senior Bowl. I was there. I saw him look a hell of a lot better than people like Trevor Penning. That wasn't getting talked about. He had a better Senior Bowl
without the character issues. Which, I mean, I liked Penning. I circled him. I really did. There was some stuff off the field that you hear about Penning that his personality, you're like, man, I don't know if I want that in the locker room, even if he is a nasty player.
Sometimes you can be too nasty, and I think he teeters the line, Penning I'm referring to. Bernard Raymond looked better than him all week. And a lot of people who knew that, they said it, but they still was willing to take Penning because, he's younger, has a bit more upside than Bernard Raymond, which is totally fine. And I'm glad that everything worked out the way it did. I know some people say there was some injury, some medical concerns with Bernard, and that's what caused him to fall as well. I don't think those are serious issues at all, but I expect this guy to contribute really early, man. And if he's a swing tackle day one, it won't be long before I think the coach just say, screw it, and let's get our best 5 guys out there on the offensive line. And we're looking at an offensive line with Braden Smith, Matt Pryor at guard, Ryan Kelly at center, Quentin Nelson, and Bernard Raymond.
Yeah, again, I like it. I mean, if Matt Raymond comes in and he performs better
Matt Raymond.
Bernard Raymond. If Bernard Raymond comes in and has a better training camp and whatever joint training camp they're going to have with whoever, and he comes in and performs better against Ngakoue, against Pay, start him. If he's better, start him. My only worry is what Rashad said. He needs to add weight. Do you see the powerful pass rushers we're about to face? Von Miller, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, Chase Young.
Have you seen Jeff Saturday? Have you seen Jeff Saturday nowadays?
That's a
struggle to put on work. Wait,
that's a center. It takes
linemen
time.
Don't struggle.
Look at Joe Thomas.
Go look at Joe Thomas.
Hell, even Danny Pinter, when he was drafted, what was he, like 260? He's like 310 now. So I bet thumbs up to the strength and conditioning coach. We'll have all off season to talk about why Matt Pryor's better than Raymond and could have gone defensive tackle at that pick, but we'll continue it. Okay. Next is the kind of the pick that I think we all were not expecting. Well, I'll speak for myself. I wasn't expecting. I had the draft turned off. I thought we were done, but no. Chris Ballard trades up into the 3rd round at number 96 overall, traded with Denver, I believe, right?
Trading with Denver.
Yeah,
sending a future pick
a future third round pick, and I obviously getting that extra 3rd or 2nd from Washington obviously made that thing feel good. And Ballard talked about in that moment, he asked the room if he came out of the draft next year, would we take him in round 2 or 3? Room said yes. He had no problem giving up a 3rd round pick. Nick Cross from Maryland, I loved it. I was actually kind of down that we didn't go defensive player at 77, but when we traded up and got Nick Cross, I was excited. I was hella excited because not only now you have Julian Blackmon, Kari Willis, Rodney McLeod, and Nick Cross. You talk about talent and depth. I love it. Defense. Give
Mike
me
Less,
more.
any defensive pick.
Give me more. I need more. I need it. I love it. Also, a potential Kari Willis replacement one day. Good thing about drafting good talent, sometimes you got to let stuff walk and you got to replace them. I think that might be what ends up happening, but I love it. In Maryland, I think he was kind of all over the place. The defense wasn't really that good. He had to cover up some things. Elite athlete. He can pass rush, the angles he takes, pass coverage, run support. I love it, man. Y'all take it. I loved this freaking pick, man. I love it.
I mean, Nick Cross. So I heard early on when they made the visit to Maryland's pro day that Cross was a big reason that they made the trip. when you miss out on a guy like Matthew, who we preached all free agency, we thought he would just be a perfect fit in that Ballard style defense. So then you look at the draft. What safety would fit that hybrid safety role the best out of just about anyone in this class that is in your reach? The answer is probably Nick Cross. The concerns in his game that are going to come up, people are going to say that he got dusted here and there in coverage at Maryland, but Maryland kind of used him in a way where they set him up to fail on a lot of routes. They kind of just put him back there as the line of defense where if this person gets dusted, we need you to make up the slack. Whoever it is, find it. And that's a hard role. The kid's only 20 coming out, man. Like we talked about how we just took a 25-year-old at pick 77. Cross is 20 years old, making the pick here at 96. Uber fun athlete, can play either safety spot, gonna be able to slot into that hybrid role, and just has a ton of guys to learn from. The pick it's just a great pick. I was shocked that they sent a 2023 third to make it happen, but when we didn't have a fourth, I was really confused on how we made the trade anyway. Because when we didn't have any more thirds, because I just didn't understand how they could make that happen. And the fourth got sent in the previous trade that they traded back in the first round. They went back to 53, got the third, and then swapped a fourth for a fifth. So they didn't have a fourth. They make the deal. I was shocked to make that pick go. That maybe brought the grade down a little bit originally. But Nick Cross is such a fun athlete. He's going to be perfect in this Gus Bradley defense, only 20 years old, going to be able to mold him. And I don't think Cross could have landed anywhere better for his skill set. It's going to be fun. He's going to be a fun guy to watch in camp for sure.
Yeah, so to take you through my experience of it, after the Bernard Raymond pick, me and guys, shout out Mason and Hayden, we packed up our stuff and we left, man. Like we walked out of the media room, we left the Caesars Forum, and we actually went outside. We called the Uber. And while I was waiting on the Uber to come to bring us back to the Airbnb, Mason was like, holy shit, the Colts just traded back into the third round. I'm like, what? With what pick? And at that time, we was waiting, was checking Twitter to see, what the compensation was. And then I said I saw it was a future third. I'm like, that's pretty rich. Whoever this guy is, they really want this guy. And they know he's not going to be available. He's not going to come back around. But this is a guy that they're really in love with. So I was fine with it, with that being my mindset before the pick was made. And then it turned out to be Nick Cross, a guy we're all familiar with. Jake's in love with him, one of our writers for the website. Talented kid. Fastest safety at the combine. Ran a 4.34, I believe. 20 years old. The knocks on him, they talk about sometimes his instincts is not exactly where you want him to be, but he's 20. Like Dustin said, he was playing most of those games at 19 and 18 years old. Started 3 years, I believe, partially into his freshman year. Early into his freshman year, he became the starter. Caught a couple of interceptions. They had him playing sideline to sideline. A couple of times he was lined up one-on-one with guys like Jahan Dotson. Why would you do that to him? Why would you put him in a position like that and expect him to succeed? Maryland defense was terrible. They had no idea how to use a guy like Nick Cross, but he still was even productive, even with all of those things working against him. It's no doubt in my mind that he can be a top-notch safety. I love getting safeties in round 3. The way the league is turning, safeties, you can get great safeties in mid-rounds. You don't have to take the fastest guy. If you get a guy that can process, has elite processing ability and physical skills, then that's a diamond in the rough. We saw it with Julian Blackman, a guy that nobody really expected to come in and produce right away, and he was productive immediately for us. Nick Cross has that same type of ability. Now, I don't think we would need him to produce right off the bat due to our safety room. It's pretty deep. We have Willis, we have Blackman, we have Rodney McLeod. I think Nick Cross can soak up a lot of game from those 3 guys. And the sky's the limit because he's more physically gifted than any of those guys. So if he's just able to put it all together, he can be a special one.
Definitely, guys. This was my favorite pick in the entire class. This was easily my favorite. Obviously, Pierce probably would have took the cake. Woods would have took the cake. I just love this fit, man. I really do. And it seems like Gus Bradley's voice is being heard in that front office. I mean, you're seeing the defensive additions, trading up in the draft, and that leads us to our next draft selection out of round 5, 159 overall out of Missouri State. Performed at the Senior Bowl, did pretty well. Eric Johnson, defensive tackle, solid. The athleticism, you already know Ballard. He wants those athletes in the middle of the defense, pass rushing, quick get off, endurance, cardio, whatever the case may be. Don't get tired, whatever the case may be. He performed well. I didn't study him way too much, but I remember going back to the Senior Bowl, some of the Senior Bowl tape that I was able to find, and he had some really good penetration on some, against some guards and some centers that went round 1, round 2. He had a really good Senior Bowl, and I really like this pick. Good length. I like it. It was solid.
Man, Eric Johnson plays with like a whole nother gear than you see from defensive linemen usually, man. I mean, small school kid, Missouri State. I think this was probably the first pick when it happened where I was like, man, there were just other guys I really, really would have liked. But I knew they were going to leave this draft with interior defensive linemen, and I knew the guys that they were looking for to take those spots, they wanted to have juice. They wanted those guys to be juiced up, ready to go. I mean, again, like we've heard the defensive line coach now talk about it. I mean, he wants these defensive linemen to stop the run on the way to the quarterback. Like we're going to be playing with such more aggression out of the defensive line to the point where a guy like Eric Johnson just fits in why they kind of let some of these other guys walk this year. You watch Eric Johnson's tape, it's against some smaller school people, but then you throw on some of his reps at the Senior Bowl, and the kid's fun, man. The kid fights with like 110% of him, always going. It just seems like a Ballard defensive lineman. He does. Like when you watch his tape, he's going to end up probably being the lowest graded athlete from this entire class, and that's kind of hilarious because he ended up with like a 9.76 RAS or something like that, something crazy. Ridiculously athletic class. Eric Johnson, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. I think he's going to have a lot of fun at training camp. I think he's going to be a name that people are just keep saying because I think at training camp he's going to work some of these backup offensive linemen.
Yeah, like Dustin said, great size, 6'5", almost 300 pounds. He moves really well for his size. He's a guy with a great motor. Went to a smaller school, so it's harder to project what he can do, but had some great reps at the Senior Bowl. Like Dustin mentioned earlier, I had a chance to go down there, and I saw some reps against a guy that went in the first round, Cole Strange. And I saw Eric Johnson actually win a couple of those reps, and Cole Strange was somebody who had an excellent Senior Bowl. That's what shot him up a lot of draft boards, and a lot of people fell in love with him. But Eric Johnson is a guy, I think he's a bigger body type guy, a guy that they needed, that they was missing from a traditional defensive lineman, defensive end, or D tackle, wherever you want to use him. I think he's versatile enough to play inside or outside on early downs. He's good against the run. I think he'll be a productive player depending on how you use him. I do think it's going to be difficult to make this team, though. There's a lot of guys that's going to challenge him for those defensive line spots. But I'm interested to see what he brings to the table, man.
Definitely, guys. This draft class, I mean, Destin said it, the athletes, I think Eric Johnson was the lowest graded on the RAS system, obviously created by a friend of the show, Kent Lee Plattis. Shout out Kent at Math Bomb.
Shout out Kent.
Great work that he does over there, man. Just disappointing that he's a Lions fan. Maybe not. Maybe who knows? But of course, moving on here, uber athletes everywhere. Now the next one is Andrew Ogletree. Round 6, 192 overall, tight end. This is a guy that I didn't know too much about. Know that he performed at the Hula Bowl, one of the all-star games the NFL puts on and everything for these guys to showcase their talent. think he had 2 touchdowns in that game, showed some really good athleticism, had a good jump ball. This one, I really think it's just like can he produce on special teams, or hell, can we see something in training camp that he can fight to make the practice squad? In my opinion, I don't know if they're going to carry 4 tight ends on the roster. We know they're going to carry tight ends, but I don't know if they're going to carry 4 tight ends. So I really like it in terms of athleticism, betting on traits. Is he going to find a spot on special teams? Can he get something going? Can he separate himself between maybe him and Colin Granson, whatever the case may be? But solid, decent, great athlete.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Ogletree kind of reminds me of if Jelani Woods would have been coming out as a draft prospect his freshman or sophomore year. Similar size, both started out in like a receiver type role, ended up changing to tight end while in college. Ogletree also transferring from his first school, both being smaller schools, ended up at Youngstown State. Didn't really produce much in college. Hit the Hula Bowl, like Michael says, kind of where he was able to show off that athleticism. Any team that was going to draft him was going to be drafting the traits that he had. And if you ever hear Chris Ballard talk, I mean, they definitely draft for traits. Production in college is cool. It's a nice bonus. But they're always looking for the traits that translate to the NFL, because production doesn't always translate. Traits usually do. So Ogletree to me almost just feels like Jelani Woods busts in round 3. We took 2 stabs here. What are the odds both of them don't work out? It kind of felt like that to me. It was probably the lowest graded pick that I would give. I would have doubled up at receiver in this class before I doubled up at tight end. Like Michael said, I'm not sure they're going to end up keeping 4 tight ends. And it just feels like we're bound to end up cutting him and making that it swoon to that practice squad. But again, he has those type of traits where you could have a team snag him if you cut him to try to get to the practice squad. It's tough nowadays, man. Teams look at those cuts to get to the practice squad way more than they used to. Ogletree was a questionable pick for me, but I mean, he's fun to watch when you see him move, even if he's not making plays in college. He has those traits and size that can translate to the next level.
Yeah, Ogletree is a guy that's extremely athletic, especially for his size. He looks quick out there. I know he's a bit of an older prospect. I believe he's 24 years old. He'll be 24 years old by the time the season starts. I'm not mad at it. It's a couple of other things I wish the Colts would have did. I wish the Colts would have maybe took a chance on a physically gifted corner, one of the corner that has an upside, or a wide receiver, especially, maybe one of the smaller guys. Since you went got a bigger guy, I thought you would double up with a smaller type receiver.
Maybe he played at Rutgers.
Yeah, that went to Rutgers. Little guy. His name rhymes with Helton, but he's Ogletree, I'm not mad. If he's able to contribute on special teams, that would be a big boost for him. That would give the Colts incentives to carry 4 tight ends instead of 3. But we know pretty much Granson, Mo Cox, and Jelani Woods is locks. Ogletree will have to show something special, a specific skill set, and give the Colts a reason to carry 4 tight ends. If not, he'll probably be on the practice squad and be a reserve guy. In case one of the other 3 guys go down, he'll be able to come in and fill a role. But he's not a bad player at all. So I'm not too mad at the pick. I'm more mad at the position addressed than the player himself.
So real quick for Destin, you think Ashton Doolin has some competition at gunner with Ogletree now?
I don't know about that. I mean, Doolin's pretty good at what he does. I could see him trying to find some sort of role to keep him on the roster. Because again, if you cut him, you never know. They took him in the 6th round because the 6th and 7th round, what people call those is just getting your priority free agents first. You get in there before having to negotiate deals. So they must have looked at Ogletree, looked at some of these other picks we're about to talk about, and they really wanted to just beat the line, basically, in a sense. So Ogletree's the type of guy, if you cut him, he has the traits. I don't know if he makes it to your practice squad. That's the biggest concern I had with the pick is I understand the high potential, but other teams are going to get that too. And some of these worst teams are going to be willing to keep a super raw tight end on the roster just to see.
Definitely. Next, guys, is going to be the last pick of the 2020 and 2022 NFL draft, and that is going to be in round 7.
There's 2 more.
We have 2 more.
Actually, yeah.
Your second favorite college football team, Michael. What's going on?
I don't know. By the way, he should not do no type of Photoshop. Did you see that photo edit?
That we've got with our people. We're going to try to get him something else because Curtis Brooks, who's the next pick. Curtis Brooks, D-line, Cincinnati. I hope you didn't do that Photoshop yourself, but I also do hope it is, because if someone professionally made that for you, they're not your friend. They don't care about you, Curtis.
They don't care about you, Curtis.
And I'm sorry. But Curtis Brooks, man, I mean, I'll just start it real quick, but I have no idea how he was there in the 6th. I mean, I understand, like I said earlier, production is something that some schools and some scouts are not looking at as much. But Curtis Brooks has got to be the most productive defensive lineman that went in the 6th round this year. There were times in Cincinnati where he looked like the best guy on the line, just very consistent, always fighting. And now he has the chip on his shoulder to add to that fire he already plays with. I'm pumped for Curtis Brooks. Curtis Brooks was my favorite day 3 pick. Uber athletic, also a guy who I think can play on the interior, slide out to the exterior, a little bit smaller, which is why some teams probably passed on him. But the Colts like to play that little bit smaller on the interior at times. Curtis Brooks can play either defensive line spot interior-wise. I think he can play on the outside and be the bigger end at times. He just plays with a fire you're not going to get all the time on a day 3 guy. And he just has that swagger to him. He played good. He played against good competition on the offensive line in college, even as a day 3 guy. I'm excited for Curtis Brooks, man. If Raymond was the most excited I was on day 2, Curtis Brooks was the most excited I was on day 3 for sure.
Super productive guy in college. To give you an idea of how they feel about him, Luke Fickell, the head coach for Cincinnati, said that Curtis Brooks probably was the defensive MVP of that team. And that's a defense that had Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant on it. Kobe Bryant, who's a Thorpe Award winner, and Sauce Gardner, who was a top 4 draft pick in his very same draft. Like, that's how talented this guy is. And that's how versatile, because they asked him to do a lot of different things. You know, you see him penetrating, getting penetration on run plays. He has a ton of tackle for losses. He gets up the field as far as sacks. And that's a guy you want in the attack front, a guy that's going to get up the field in this new Gus Bradley scheme that he's bringing to the Indianapolis Colts. I can't see this guy not being productive with the time that he gets on the field. As long as he develops a couple of more counter moves off his already set moves, this guy has the ability to produce. And I see him definitely being a rotational player early on. If he gets some snaps, don't be surprised if you see this guy has, similar to what Taylor Stallworth was doing for us last year, and a couple of other guys that in the years prior. So I expect big things from Curtis Brooks, man. I know he was a 7th round draft pick, and a lot of people may have thought this guy was going to go earlier. This was a very good pick for the Indianapolis Colts. Great value on this guy. It's probably the best value pick that they had.
Yeah, I like Curtis Brooks. You know, obviously the praise he got from Fickell, the best player on a college football playoff team, especially, and you mentioned all those good players, but what you didn't mention was the linebacker Beaver, who went earlier in the draft. He was also a solid player, but Curtis Brooks, obviously, nice, solid pass rusher. It will be interesting to see if Nate Ollie, what is he still like as a defensive line coach? None of us know. Can he develop? Can he get these guys going? One thing that I have officially learned that I'm going to start looking at in future drafts for Chris Ballard, not only athleticism is priority, but motor. I mean, that's what Grover Stewart, that when they watched his film, that's what popped off to him. When they watched Ben Bandigo, that's what popped off to him. Kwity Paye, he talked about the relentlessness. Obviously, Dio last year, they talked about the relentlessness. Motor. Every single time you talk about a defensive lineman for Chris Ballard, motor. Every single time. And I'm pounding this little wire right here. But other than that, guys, obviously solid. Man, Ballard, he was a closeted Cincinnati Bearcat fan this year, apparently. Obviously bringing on Michael Young as an undrafted free agent. But we're going to get into the last pick here. Rodney Thomas II out of Yale. Picking up the playbook should not be a problem for this guy. Incredibly smart. What is he going to do? Has that sub package safety, maybe some linebacker built to him. When I look at his build, I don't know. I don't want to go too far-fetched. I'm not even going to mention his name. I don't want to embarrass myself, but the build reminds me of a certain guy that went a few years past in the first round as a safety. The athleticism, special teams. DB, what is he going to be? Corner, safety, linebacker? No one knows.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Colts website personnel listed him at a corner right away. The funny thing about him is every single site that I would just be reading up on had him listed at a different position. CBS Sports had him listed at linebacker. Fox Sports had him listed at safety. ESPN had him listed at corner. The draft, when he was announced as a safety. The Colts put him at corner. Just a versatile piece. And again, what I said with the 6th and 7th round, it's just a lot of beating the line on these undrafted free agency guys. He's a guy who played 3 different positions in college, played the linebacker spot, played both safety spots and corner. So, I mean, you could argue that's 4 different positions. I'm really interested to see what they do with him in camp. He's the type of athlete where I could see them just trying to see if he works anywhere. The thing that's interesting about this class is the Colts came into the draft pretty slim on roster number. We're pretty good away from even hitting 90, and we've signed a ton of undrafted free agents. It's going to be a fun year competition-wise. There's going to be so many guys competing for spots who normally wouldn't even be in contention for them, and I'm really interested to see what happens there. But Rodney Thomas, fun guy, really athletic, which, we couldn't go a non-athlete to end the class after how it's been so far. So Rodney Thomas, uber athlete, multi-position guy, screams a Ballard type pick. And, oh, by the way, he went to Yale.
Really, really smart guy. I'll lead with that off the fact that he went to Yale. This pick has Marvell Tell kind of vibes, that a guy that was used at safety, maybe a corner, versatile enough to play linebacker and be productive from multiple spots at that Ivy League level. Now, we know it's a big jump in talent that he's going to see. He's going to take a lot of time to develop into a player that's actually going to get defensive snaps. Best bet for him is to come in here, work his tail off, and find a way to contribute on special teams. We all know how much the Colts value special teams. They would keep a guy off of special teams ability alone. So if you can find your way to excel at that, you'll find a way to be kept, maybe on a practice squad, or maybe make the roster as a specialist.
Definitely, guys. And that was the Indianapolis Colts 2022 NFL draft class. Now let's get into the actual undrafted free agents. Now, earlier, I can't remember. I think it was Destin or it was one of you guys that mentioned it's going to be fun. It was Destin. It's going to be fun. Guys are going to be competing for roster spots. Hell, I know kind of technically this happens, but there's going to be guys fighting for practice squad spots, in my opinion. So let's go. We're focused on undrafted free agents. One guy that we're intrigued by, that we're excited by, who we think have a chance to get on the team. I'm kind of stuck between 2 players. So as I make my decision, I'm going to start off with you, Destin.
Yeah, so this is a guy who, if you guys kept track of my 3 mock drafts that I put about a week apart before the draft started, of guys I heard the Colts are in on and guys that I thought could be stabs there at the late rounds, it's Devonte Price, running back out of FIU. I think the Colts really like where they're at running back wise with a backup for Naeem Hines and Deion Jackson last year from Duke. They like where he's at. I think that's going to be who they want there. I think they're going to end up keeping 4 running backs. And I think Devonte Price, who's at 6'1.5", 215, and ran a sub 4.40, come on, man. Has the traits you're going to want, has the big body to be able to make guys miss. I liked his tape. Coming out of FIU, I think there's some questions on how actually he's able to use that speed. But if he's able to learn that, he can be a fun guy just to be able to take a snap here or there when Taylor and Hines need a breather. And that's my favorite sleeper of these undrafted free agents personally.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Ryan Van DeMark. They gave him a huge signing bonus, guaranteed
175
base salary. Yep, $175K, which is a ton of money for an undrafted free agent. And that's what piqued my interest on him. I was already familiar with him, watching Connecticut for a couple of reasons, but he's a huge guy. Over 6'6", 307 pounds. I know the Colts went up there to see him, and they was very intrigued with him, thought they could get him in the late rounds. We was talking about athletes. He had a RAS score of 9.3 or 9.4, something to that nature. So he just fits right in with the rest of the draft. As far as being an athlete, I think he can find a way to sneak on this roster, man. This is a Colts roster and he's totally opposite from Bernard Raymond as the short arms. He has 35 and 3/4 arms. So he is very, very long tackle, a guy that maybe can be moved to guard. I don't know if he's strong enough yet, but he's definitely has the footwork and the ability to be developed for a couple of years. And who knows, maybe he decides to get moved to right tackle and be Braden Smith's eventual replacement with a lot of development. We'll see.
I'm legit shocked you didn't take your boy who made the practice squad.
Who's that?
I'll let Michael go first. I'll let Michael go first.
I made my decision. I'm gonna go with Sterling Weatherford, safety from Miami, Ohio. This is a guy I
didn't know Sterling. This is news to me.
Hey, there you go. Hey, and for anybody else who this is news to, we'll go ahead and drop a link in the bio down below in the YouTube video that has our little undrafted free agency tracker from thebluestable.com. Plug. Go ahead, Michael.
I see it.
Yeah, this is a guy that, in this entire draft, there are guys that fell that we did not think would fall. And Sterling Weatherford, you guys were even talking about him as a potential 4 or 5 round pick, maybe even 6 round pick. He didn't get drafted at all. So he comes to Indianapolis already to a filled room. But I asked this question: could the Colts legitimately keep 5 safeties just for depth purposes?
Hey, I think but Chris Ballard had to watch Sendejo play significant snaps on his football team last year,
so he's finding every excuse not to get in that situation.
We might keep 15 DBs. I ain't putting nothing past nobody.
I'm all for it. Depth equals production. I just like it because, again, I honestly forgot that he didn't get drafted, but when news came in that he made the list of undrafted free agents, I'm like, bro, what? This dude should have been drafted. Now, obviously, there's a little sweet spot of being undrafted free agent. Now you get to pick where you go, looking at the weak rosters, your position group, could you make it there? Can you make some noise? Whatever the case may be. He's walking in possibly the deepest position on the roster. And that's crazy. He's ready. He wants to compete. I'm all for keeping 5 safeties. That means bye-bye Armani Watts, who just got here, signed as a free agent. Bye Sterling Weatherford. I still can't believe was not drafted. He's in Indy now. I really think we're probably going to keep 5 safeties, and I love it.
Rodney Thomas, you're out of here.
Whoa. Hold on, Jack. Don't you come back now, all right?
Sterling Weatherford.
Let's not get ridiculous now. I like the build of Rodney Thomas, all right? Let's not get
Rodney Thomas is going to be extremely good. I think
the team listed him at corner. The team listed him at corner right away, too.
Yeah.
That's good. That's important.
Rodney Thomas, CB2, Rodney Thomas. Here we go. I think he's going to be my new Isaiah Rodgers, I think, possibly.
Man, I don't know. Your new Isaiah Rodgers, and you're trying to take his spot. Man, that's hurtful.
Right.
CB2. All right, guys. Well, I think I think that does it for this show. The draft was fun. It was a fun weekend. And again, I real quick before we head out here, I do want to ask this question. I did probably want to ask Morocco Brown this question, but I don't want to get like pushed to the side or anything by anybody or by him. But are you surprised that maybe they didn't go quarterback in the third round? Because Ritter and Willis were there. Even when they traded back, they were there. And me personally, maybe you would have maybe you should have got them. Obviously, I was that way pre-draft. But the entire league sent a message on how they view these quarterbacks by not selecting them. Atlanta, I get it. Tennessee, I get it. So I'm just curious of what you guys think about that.
I think it had a lot to do with just so many people were passing that I think other teams just who don't even need quarterbacks right now probably just made the decision that they're going to go get these guys that they don't know will be there because these quarterbacks are just falling. I think it's just one of those things when the fall starts, that's the scariest part because you never know when it's going to stop. I mean, Malik Willis ends up in Tennessee. Wasn't the happiest about that, obviously. But I think they've really just got a sense ever since Matt Ryan's been in Indy and been in the building for mini camp and everything like that. They just have a sense that this is going to end up being a 2 to 4 year investment instead of I think they know right now that they feel like it's a 2-year minimum. And I think they probably think it's like a 5-year maximum. And I just don't think they felt the need to do it this year. They went other routes. They decided to build around him instead of get him a successor.
Yeah, I told you, Mike, we wasn't taking a quarterback.
Hey, you were scared on draft day. You were scared.
I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous.
I'll give you that. You were steady. We ain't taking no goddamn quarterback.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say when we was talking about the Cincinnati trip, the trip to Cincinnati that they made. I said they ain't going to see no goddamn Desmond Ritter. And I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous as hell when the coach traded back, and then they trade. This was when they traded up in the third for the Nick Cross pick. I was like, holy, it's about to happen. They're about to take Sam Howell, and I'm about to commit suicide.
I would have cried. I would have cried if it was Sam Howell.
Definitely would have cried if it was Sam Howell. But they could have took your boy. They could have took your boy. Corral.
I would have cried if it was Matt Corral too, just different reasons.
But yeah, man, if you paid attention earlier in the draft process when people were saying these quarterbacks were not good, that was the truth. You know, I know they got driven up later in the process like they always do, but these teams
by the media.
By the media, right? These teams were set though. Their minds were made up. Yeah, they did some extra work on them just to reassure themselves that, okay, I have this guy in the third round. Let me see if he changed my mind with a visit. Nope, he's still a third round guy after the visit. And the writing was on the wall. It was a bad draft class. We said it all year leading up to this point. It's not until 1 or 2 months before the draft, everybody decides to change their mind and forget what they've done and what they've said and what they've studied the whole year. And start to say, well, you know what? Maybe that guy can't play, or maybe this guy can't throw the ball. They didn't go for it this time. And I don't know if y'all have the stats on it, but I don't know if I've ever seen a draft where one quarterback goes in the first round.
First 2 rounds.
Yeah, first 2 rounds, actually.
As soon as it got to the third round and they weren't taken, I officially knew, like, okay, the league is sending a message. No, I mean, even if they don't need quarterback, teams could still go quarterback. They still easily could have gone quarterback. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, all right, Colts, maybe if they're there in the 4th round, obviously that was before the Nick Cross trade. All right, if they're there, take them. Probably. So I enjoyed that draft process. I enjoyed it. I think we got better, especially day one production-wise. I think we upgraded a little bit. Now, I'm not saying Jelani Woods going to go 800 yards. Alec Pierce going to go 900 yards.
Right.
I ain't saying all that, guys. Let's table the expectations. But for the overall trajectory of the team, bro, this is I enjoy it, guys. I enjoyed it. I'm a highlight now, Rodney Thomas II as a my guy. I like it. Yeah, there you go, guys. It's going to be fun. Once again, before we head out, obviously, we're going to have some links down below to the latest articles we have on the show. Also, there's going to be a link to our new newsletter that we're going to send out every week. You guys can subscribe to it. All you got to do is just click the link, just type in your email, confirm your email address. If you don't get it, if you're not getting them, they'll be sent out every Monday. Check your junk or your spam folder. I know a couple of people have reached out. They've said, "Oh, I'm not getting it." Hell, it even happened to me. It was in my spam folder. So check your spam folder. The Blue Stable Weekly Newsletter. Check that out. It has all kinds of updates, when we're recording, when we're dropping, articles, interviews, all the good stuff, guys.
Do it has pictures of me in it? I think I need a monthly photo section in it.
We're trying to attract people, Rashad. We're not trying to, deviate them away. If you
Rashad will wear his suits. Rashad will wear his suits.
If you got a Speedo picture of you in Vegas, I think the ladies will love that. All right. So
man. Close the vibe, man. We going off the rails.
We gotta go. I think I exposed one of Rashad's deepest, darkest secrets. All right, guys. He is Destin Adams. He is Rashad McGinnis. I am Michael Pevia. Thank you for your following. Thank you for your support of Destin's draft coverage, of our draft writer Dalton, his draft coverage. Huge shout out to our writers who did great job this whole draft cycle, guys. Thank you for following along. We got great stuff planned. Again, the Blue Stable's going to training camp. Meet us there. We'll keep you updated with that. Again, subscribe, like, follow, and we'll see you next week.